Rebuilding after a flood can be difficult enough without the added financial hardships that can come with flood damage. Homeowners insurance and commercial property insurance does not typically cover flood damage, but private flood insurance will pay claims regardless of whether there is a presidential disaster declaration or not. Flood damage is typically caused by heavy or prolonged rain, melting snow, coastal storm surges, blocked storm drainage systems, or levee dam failure. The definition of flood as it relates to insurance coverage is when groundwater covers at least 2 acres or 2 properties. Sometimes, when we have a pipe burst inside a home that causes a lot of damage, we say, well, my house flooded. This does not fit the definition of flood we are talking about because it is not groundwater that covered at least 2 properties or 2 acres of land. Homes and businesses in high-risk flood areas with mortgages are required to have flood insurance. If you live in a high-risk flood area and have received federal disaster assistance, including grants from the Federal Emergency Management Agency or low-interest disaster loans from the U.S. Small Business Administration, you must maintain flood insurance in order to be considered for any future federal disaster aid. Furthermore, if your home is in a designated flood zone, your lender will require you to have flood insurance. Flood zones are not always by the coastline as you would expect. Texas is particularly prone to floods, especially in 2 large parts of the state: the coast, and a wide band called Flash Flood Alley that extends through central and north Texas. Almost every major city in Texas is in an area at high risk of flooding. Unfortunately, floods can happen anywhere. Over half of the homes flooded by Hurricane Harvey were outside of a designated flood zone. Because of this, it is still a good idea to buy flood insurance, even if you are not required to buy it. Flood insurance works just like other insurance products. You, the insured, will pay an annual premium based on the property's flood risk and the deductible. Factors such as the flood zone designation, age of the property, and the number of floors can all impact pricing, which is set by the National Flood Insurance Program. If your property or its contents are damaged or destroyed by flooding caused by an external event, such as rain, snow, storms, collapsed or failed infrastructure, you, the property owner, will receive cash for the amount of money required to repair the damage and or rebuild the structure, up to the policy limit. There are 2 ways you can buy flood insurance: the National Flood Insurance Program and private flood insurance companies. If your building is in a high-risk zone, private flood insurance companies will not offer insurance to you, and the NFIP is the only option. A flood insurance policy from the NFIP will cover your home up to $250,000 and up to $100,000 for personal belongings. The maximum coverage for a business is $500,000 in building coverage and $500,000 in contents coverage on the NFIP policy. If you need more coverage for your building, there are excess flood policies available. Private flood insurance companies have higher coverages available, and the premiums are usually lower. There are a few things flood insurance does not cover, like the additional living expenses if you are not able to stay in your home, damage caused by moisture, mildew, or mold that could have been prevented, property and belongings outside a building such as trees, plants, wells, septic systems, decks, pools, and fences are not covered. Cars are not covered by flood insurance policies, but are covered if you have comprehensive coverage on your auto policy. Most flood policies have a 30-day waiting period before kicking in, so do not wait for an approaching storm before deciding to buy coverage. There are exceptions to this, of course, like when you're buying a new home. Flood insurance is different from other insurance policies that you are probably familiar with. Talk with a licensed insurance agent from Slate to talk about flood insurance and your property today. If you have any questions or would like to speak to a licensed insurance agent about your insurance needs, please contact Slate Insurance at 817-809-4522 to set up an appointment today. At Slate Insurance, we take a clean slate approach to your insurance needs.